So, one question I had is if there was a specific incident where your video footage or your audit led to meaningful change. Like I was taking a look, you had some court cases in New York, but maybe you could share something with me that you feel like, wow, I really made some process here. I really made a difference.
Yeah, so basically, I would say that my crowning achievement since I started auditing 4 years ago was the change that I'm doing in New York City. That we the people are taking. We are able to change the process. The New York City Police Department, the biggest police department in the country, I took them on head on, and they had a policy where they would not, which violated the law, the New York City Right to Monitor Act, and they were in direct violation of it. They wanted to prohibit recording. They arrested people. They arrested me 2 times. I took them to federal court, and I was granted an injunction, a preliminary injunction on the merits. And now originally it was for everybody, but then the Second Circuit Court of Appeals limited it just to me. So I am currently the only person who can film in the New York City Police Department. That is actually being transferred to the New York State Court of Appeals, the highest court in New York. I feel really good about our chances on winning. The law is on our side, so I believe very shortly everyone will be able to have accountability and transparency inside one of the largest police departments in our country.
Oh, that's excellent. I was also wondering about your opinion on ICE. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the incredible amount of money that's been allocated. I think it's like $75 billion. That's more than like the Canadian military gets, that Iran's military doesn't even get this much money. And also they're going around obscuring their faces, not identifying themselves. And from my understanding, there's actually a playbook in which ruses, as they call it. You can use a ruse, and essentially you can lie to someone, you can entrap someone. This is an official part of the ICE playbook. When you see these ICE agents going out into the field, as someone who's been holding law enforcement accountable, what do you think? Does this concern you?
So it does concern me. It concerns me greatly. Again, I stay far away from politics, but this is not politics. This is about our constitutional rights, about due process. Lying is something that law enforcement agencies do across the country. So I don't think that's specific to ICE. Masks seems very specific to ICE. I believe that if you believe in what you're doing, we need transparency in our government, and you should not be wearing masks. Nassau County, the county over from me on Long Island, they recently passed a mask ban, but they made an exception for ICE officers and their police officers. When you have masked agents going around grabbing people from Home Depot parking lots and 7-Eleven parking lots, that's something without due process. That's something that is extremely concerning to me, especially as an Hispanic American. My family's from Puerto Rico, so we're born American. I was born in Port Jefferson on Long Island, New York. My mom immigrated, well, not immigrated, I should say, but my mom came from Puerto Rico to New York at the age of 13. She became a public servant and served our community for 35 years as a supervisor with the Suffolk County Water Authority. She was very proud of her job in serving the community. Single mother, she did a great job. But as far as ICE, I think it's very concerning, and I am in works of doing something to help expose that. People say you don't need due process. Like, oh, they're undocumented. They're undocumented. Well, how do you know? That's the whole point. Is that when due process is so important, because it's not just who cares. They don't get due process. They're undocumented. If they don't get due process, that means I don't get due process. That means you don't get due process. Anybody watching doesn't get due process. It's vital for our society. If we allow this to continue to happen, and this is something that I'm very well familiar that they've gotten a lot of money, more than the military in Canada. I'm very familiar with everything, and it's something that I'm looking into, especially as an Hispanic American. I want to look into it. It's very important to me. Maybe I'll stand outside of a Home Depot and I wear a t-shirt and I wear some jeans, and if they grab me up, it just proves the point that it's not about undocumented and citizens. It's about skin color. It's about how you look. It's about, I speak Spanish. I'm bilingual. So, because I'm walking down the street speaking Spanish, or if I happen to go work on a roof somewhere, you're going to take me to El Salvador's gulag. That's something that should concern every single American, regardless of race.
Very well said. I just sort of a follow-up question in relation to it. It looks like Geo Group, CCA, the other private prison, I believe it is, they're being given a ton of money to build about 100,000 beds to detain people. Something I've seen in my own city, for example, they were trying to build a youth jail, and we had some wonderful activists in our city push back against it because they said, if you build those beds, they will fill them. Do you have any concerns about what these detention centers could look like, especially if they're under private prison?
Yeah, so anything that has to do with the private industry, they're obviously looking for a profit. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. So if they're building 100,000 beds, they're fully seeking to fill up those 100,000 beds to get that money from taxpayers. So I'm fully against the privatization of prisons. I believe that we have a prison problem in this country where they are overcrowded. You're being taken for minor offenses and non-violent offenses. It's really a problem, and the privatization of prisons is even a bigger problem because now you're adding in an economic benefit to it, and that's not good.
Very well said. Let me just check one more thing to see if there is anything. I know we do have to let him go. I guess. Hey, have you seen our Cop Watcher documentary yet?
You have sent it to me, and I promise I'll watch it on the ferry ride back home.
Okay. Awesome. How's that? Is that fair? Okay. This is
Thank
great
you.
talking with you.